Hey guys, we've got Fenchurch today as a soap from Australian Private Reserve. We've got the Nasset, and this will be use number 335. And we're going to try it in the 85 gap of the WR2 from Wolfman. And I've got this guy soaking. This is the Umo Manchuria knot, super high density, finest badger, and wolf whiskers handle. And we'll put that back in the water. And we normally don't have very many razors in my collection that can use this old blade. It's, smoothed out quite a bit. It's still really sharp. It gives me a good shave. It's a little tuggy, but still doing its job. And there's the 3 dots there that I've been showing you the whole time. And there's that. This is the solid handle, and just a few days ago I think I used this and said it was the hollow handle, but I think I was wrong. So we will, this gap on this one is not super smooth for me. It's got a little bit of blade feel, and so we'll see how that treats the Nasset, because right now it does need some blade feel. It does need a little bit of an aggression to it, since it's the edge geometry has obviously changed over time with so many uses on it. All right, get this brush back in the water. Water at this location seems to be fairly soft, so that's cool. APR Fenchurch is quite a sophisticated blend of scents. At least the notes for this are quite lengthy, and so I do have those to go over it with you during the shave. My first experience with it, my first impression as I smelled it from the tub was really nice. It's got all kinds of leathery, woody notes, that musky type pieces that just appealed to me right away. So I'm looking forward to actually using it. I had as my only APR soap for a while there, I had Passion, and I sold that. I didn't quite agree with it. It was just a little too sticky sweet, something like that. Here's the 300 count, over 300, so 10, 20, 30, and 34, so 35 is going to be today. All right, now I could play it safe and just scoop out a certain amount of the soap, but let's just do a load. Brush load. Oh, see, I took the cap off, moved it down here to the ground, to the counter, and the scent just wafted up. Oh, there's some good notes in there. Whew, yeah, like it. I like it a lot. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let me get my face wet, and then we will load this soap. Okay, so normally a 30-second load is what I go with a new soap a new soap base that I'm not quite sure about. Now, if this guy hasn't been used in a while, then I might need to add a little time to that. Or if my brush is small or something like that, I might need to add some time. This is not, however, a small brush. I'm going to shake a lot of the water out. This guy holds a lot of water. Okay, so that's him. The tips are sticking together a little bit, but they're not. This is not a jelly knot, at least not very much at all. I'm happy about that. I like it exactly where it is. Really happy with the backbone of it. It's got a lot of density to it, but the backbone is very relaxed. It's easy to display, and the tips are really soft. So how about we just do 40-second load and see what that does. We're going to roll around, we're going to roll around at 15 right there, so I'll go ahead and start. And so if we do a 45-second load, that takes us all the way to the 0 mark. So for a 40-second load, we will stop 5 seconds short of the 0. We do have enough moisture in the brush to cause kind of some bubbling action right there. And I usually find that that's a good thing. About 10 more seconds. And just in case you're new, they do purposefully underfill these soap tubs so that you have room to do what I did. So you have room to load the brush and not have it just always overflow all the time. After the shave is over, I will be quenching my face with Zingari Balm, and it is the Explorer. It's kind of got citrus, woods, and vetiver, so I bet that's a complimentary note to this experience, but I also found that I didn't really smell it very much on myself, and so it seems like it's going to be a product almost like an unscented balm that's going to do good things to my skin, but not really good things to my nose after the shave. But I wanted to have a balm from Heather at Zingari Man, because I've just heard such great things about it. I could probably do fine with just sticking with simple balms like Sterling or Nivea, because I have an oily complexion, and so I have a natural balm that kind of builds up. All right, let us get started here, and I'm going to tilt you down to be the lather cam. So as we talk about the notes, we'll gradually add water. And this is a short handle, as you can tell, and so my fingers are going to get messy. Normally I do prefer the long ones, but this one's kind of a sentimental handle. So on Maggard's website with this scent of Fenchurch, they definitely told a bit of a story of old parchment and leather and things like that. I didn't copy and paste that whole thing into my write-up below the video, but I did copy and paste the top notes and the bottom notes and the heart notes. And so I did write those down, I transcribed them. The top notes, and I believe the top notes are something, they are the notes that you might smell right away as pretty dominant at first. And in many cases, they are kind of volatile. They don't last long. So you smell them at first, and then they leave, and then you're left to smell the heart notes. So after we put 2 teaspoons now, total, in the soap, the top notes are whiskey, heliotrope, and dark plum. Yeah, I can maybe see a hint of dark plum. Maybe a little bit of whiskey. The heart notes are leather, suede, tobacco flower, and dark tobacco leaf. So those are some of my favorite scents. Definitely smell leather. Oh, dark tobacco leaf. I do get a little bit of that, and that is doing something really neat to the scent. It doesn't just transform it into, hey, this is a tobacco scent, but it adds a very nice kind of dark, almost bitter note to it. And then once the heart notes leave you, then you experience the base notes, and often they're very smooth and they stay around with you for a lot longer than the other pieces. Papyrus, benzoin, labdanum, vanilla, animal musk, patchouli, and tuberose. Hint of vanilla. I don't really know about benzoin, even if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Labdanum, don't know about that one. I think I can smell the musk. Patchouli, I don't think so. And I can't really pick out any rose for now. I do like rose when it's used in this kind of a scent because it can add a little bit of sweetness and character as long as you don't overpower anything with that floral. The base here, I'm sure it's the same one as I had with Passion, is tremendous. It's very enjoyable, slick, creamy base. I thought I might be adding too much water when I put in that 1/3 teaspoon, but I just kept mixing and it did equalize, and I did have to add more just now. So right now we have a total of 4 teaspoons in the lather. Lather looks terrific. APR is well known for collaborations with other soap makers. I believe his name's Dan, he will do the scent, and then he'll send the scent oils to the soap makers, like Grapefruit with Southern Witchcrafts, or several different scents from Noble Otter. Some of the ones that instantly come to mind, I think let's use this. And we'll get my face wet. Don't have a plethora of lather, but it sure looks like it'll be enough to do the job. I was putting some of the excess that was on my fingers on my face there to help out. I brought along on this trip my boar brush that I used yesterday, the B23 from Zenith. It's very scrubby because of the backbone, but the tips are nice enough. But it's got a ways to go. It's still kind of young. But the other 2 Badgers that I brought along on the trip are the opposite. They are comfortable. This guy right here, tremendous. Very soft. And the B5, Hammer and Chisel B5 was the other one, and it's kind of the same thing. This one has more density than the B5, because this is a bigger knot. But I believe the B5 has the softer tips. And this is definitely not overwatered. I could probably do to add a little bit more water to it, but I think I'm going to stick with it. So we're going to work it in just a little bit more. Use some of that side lather from the brush and spread that out. Oh man, the scent, terrific. Oh, this is slick. Man, what a great soap base. Yeah, the plum I think is a great touch with the whiskey, the leather. You know, who would know? Who would guess plum and leather brought together by the whiskey and tobacco, papyrus. I know that labdanum is a note that is in a few of the other scents that I really, really enjoy. So I bet that's a piece that I am fond of. I just don't know how to identify it. I don't like it when too much vanilla is added to a scent, and this definitely doesn't have too much. I think it's a nice piece. This is a really well done scent. Wow, I stumbled upon this soap because I bought a box of soaps and this was in there. And I'm so glad I did. I'm really going to enjoy. Number one, I've got a representative of the APR base, and the APR just name as a pure non-collaborative effort. So I've got that performance, but this is just a wonderful, wonderful scent. Wow. All right, let's see how the WR2, Wolfman WR2 does with the super old, super high use Nasset blade. Tugging a little bit. If you do happen to be using an aggressive razor that tugs some, then one thing I do is just kind of make quick work of it. Kind of just move through the the shave, because that tugginess generally for me only sticks around for that first pass. And everything's better after. This is not as comfy as the open comb Fatip that I used yesterday, so maybe I won't return quite back to this one. I might play around with some more advanced plates of my carve razor, higher plates like E and F that I don't use normally. Oh man, the smell is so good. Wow. All right, so we took off some stubble. Not going to focus on taking it all off at first. And now we will just, matter of fact, why don't we just kind of do another pass and see this? Barely any tugging at all, because we are kind of able to remove enough. So now it's just comfort. Very slick soap we have here. Terrific. Fast pass. And repeat. Let's rinse. And third pass. Load up the brush by pressing it down into the lather. Shove some of the lather in between the bristles, how I do it. Just got word online that my friend Alan, a viewer that we often have chats in the comments, and he said that he had just acquired some Seville from Barrister and Mann in the reserve base. And that was a limited run, and I had some for a while. I did sell some because I acquired a backup copy. I still have my original. That's a base that I really might not mind if I could freeze time and really work on it. Try to narrow it down. Get a really good lather from it. I was able to get workable lathers from it, but in terms of really getting it where I wanted, I wasn't able to with maybe, I don't know, 5 uses or something like that. And there were just so many soaps to enjoy. You know, if you saw my Dentour video, you know I've got tons of soaps, and I just don't want to use up any more uses on the reserve. And so I am interested someday in maybe finding a good procedure for that. Good milestones to look for, that sort of thing. But not at the cost of missing out on so much of the other stuff that's out there. It might be a good candidate for Austere August next time, where I can just use it for a whole month and figure it out. And a lot of people in the same boat about reserve. So Alan, you give it a shot, and let me know what you find out. There's a video online that was done by Will, and then the 2 guys from, are they from West Coast Shaving? I don't know exactly which other shaving company they're from, but they all have synthetic brushes, and Will is going to show them how to lather how to get a good lather with reserve. And somewhere along the line, it seems, as I start my 4th pass here, just decided to do a 4th one. Very comfortable passes here. I think somewhere somebody mentioned that it takes a certain amount of water before reserve will kind of activate. And so until you hit that amount of water, man, what a great smelling soap this is. Till you hit that amount of water, it's kind of going to be a little too dry, at least for me. If you like your soaps kind of dry, then maybe you don't have a problem with Reserve. Relatively dry, of course. But then when I would keep adding water, it would activate, and then all of a sudden it would be a little bit too wet. I could never hit that middle ground. I'd be too dry, too dry, too dry as I added water, and then bam, too wet. So it was really tricky. If I had it too wet and I went to add more soap, then it would be, you know, too dry until I added more water, and then it would be too wet. It was tricky. Now, my first impression of it years ago, when Reserve was a brand new soap base, was one where, oh, and this guy's performing great. The slickness here, the residual slickness is staying with me and not having to relather. But I found it a very silky and enjoyable soap base early on. And I think that's because I liked it. I didn't know about the really getting your lathers well hydrated. And so I was using that kind of unactivated or a little bit drier lather. You know. So for a while I kind of said that it was one of my favorite soap bases. And then I tried it maybe, I think it was in 2020. May have been in late 2019, but I tried it and it just kind of lost a little bit of the zing for me because I experienced that binariness of either it was too dry or all of a sudden it was too wet. Here I am talking about Reserve while I'm using everything but Reserve. All right, well, I've gotten 4 passes down. You see a little bit of redness, but I sure don't feel any redness. I don't feel any irritation or anything like that. This is just, I mean, guys, this is a great, in terms of the soap base, if you ever see something come out from, you know, APR, man, don't hesitate to buy it if you feel like the scent might be right up your alley, because this is a great soap base, really nice. I'm gonna give it a full rinse and we'll check out the results. So yeah, this is not a good match in terms of the age of this blade and the edge geometry. This particular gap of the Wolfman WR2 is not giving me a close shave. I see length and a good many tips. So we'll move on from this one for next time. Just been fun to try it out. Yeah, like I said, it was a little tuggy at first, but then it did get a lot more comfortable. So the video that Will did about Reserve, he took the guys, they were sitting at a table, and they had synthetic brushes. He told them, I think, do 25 swirls or some definite finite thing that he advised them to do. So they did that, and then he had them just gradually add water as they did the palm lather. And then he said, there you go. And they were both impressed with what they achieved, that sort of thing. But the main thing I wanted to mention about Reserve is that what I love about that line, and what is tragic about how it's a base that I just wasn't able to dial in exactly to my happiness level. I got good lathers either way, too wet, too dry, but it was workable. But was the fact that he used that line as an homage and almost a rebirth of old classic scents. And I really like his version of the Shulton Old Spice scent that he put in Reserve Spice. I love Seville in Reserve. That was not one that was specifically reliving an older scent. I love the Reserve Cool, which is the kind of the Aqua Velva type scent from history. Man, that's so good. Let's see, any of the other ones jump out? I don't think so. I think those are the Cool and the Spice are my main enjoyable retro resurgent type scents that he did. All right, well, Told you about the condition of the shave, not quite up to par, but reasonable. And I have, looks like, loaded exactly the right amount of soap. We've got probably a pass, maybe 2 passes if I was really miserly, of soap left. And that's pretty much exactly where I like to land in terms of how much product I use per shave. So that's good. We'll clean that up in a minute. Let us bring out the Explorer. And if you have a balm and you want it to go far, put a little bit of water on your face so that your skin just doesn't soak it right up. Two squirts on one side of the face. Kind of the strategy I'm going with. And 2 squirts on the other. Citrus, woods, and vetiver. Yeah, I'm getting the citrus. It's nice. It's low level, but very pleasant. So in a sense, I think you could put this on. Woods, vetiver, and citrus are in so many types of scents that I think it would go with just about every kind of shave soap out there. Very nice. It's not super thick. It's not as thick as Sterling, for instance. But I'm no real aficionado about how good or bad a balm is with my oily skin. I just don't. Dry skin, you need to find a dry skin person. Check with them. I've heard from dry skin type folks that this is a terrific balm. And so I believe them. I go with that. I pass that information along to you guys. Very good. Time for me to clean up. So we did use four teaspoons of water, 40 seconds of loading, and that was perfect. It is really nice to bring in a new vendor to my den, my collection of soaps, and have it be a good soap. And I don't have to sell it. I can just enjoy it. But it's even better when it's a great one. This is it's going in my top tier of favorites in terms of scent. And then the performance is just a boost as well. It's just totally enjoyed all that it had to offer. Sure, I may not have picked up on a lot of the different nuances. I bet the liquids, the aftershave splash, that sort of thing that were provided with this collection, I bet those you can get those little nuances out of that. I bet they're available there. Soap can mask those sometimes, but even what is coming through from the soap is just terrific. I did do just a little bit of research about the name Fenchurch to try to figure out, what it meant. And I didn't come up with anything definitive. I'm guessing that an Australian might be able to pick up on some social cues about what it is. There was a person named Fenchurch as a part of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie and book series, that sort of thing. So, maybe that's it. There's a Fenchurch street in London that is a popular street. It's got some businesses, and maybe some big deal happened in Fenchurch. So I'm not exactly sure. So if there's some of you guys out there who are more in the know about that type of cultural reference, I'd love your comment. And so we're cleaning up here. I have my little soap cup for my brush, and it's got my Sharpie for putting blade usage dots on. It's got my 1/4 teaspoon for pulling out samples, and then we have my syringe, and those all go inside my bowl to be put away. All right, guys, I think we're done. Face feels good. Never had any tenderness or irritation as a result of this shave, so we're good there. With some jobs, the closeness I achieved would be fine and wouldn't be any source of problem at all. But like I said, a better coupling, a different razor is going to be the best match with this blade at this age for us to move on. And if I ever consistently can't find a razor that gives me a good shave for your average job, then that's when the Nasset has to stop. All right. Today we did some car shopping. Time to remember if a few months ago my Buick that I had for a long time died. Been driving around in a borrowed vehicle from a family member, and then we found a vehicle that a friend was going to sell us, and then we had to crash. So I'm back to borrowing that same other vehicle that we had before. And so we looked around today. The Accords and Camrys, you know, are about the right deal for me. And so that was fun, looking around at some of those. Man, so many of those are out there. So piecing the information, finding ones that are, you know, at our budget point. So looking forward to having an efficient, enjoyable car. They're both reliable cars. We're entertaining a couple other models as well, but you know, reliability is going to be it. So it's I can't wait to get a good air conditioning. But of course, now that the fall is hitting us, that becomes less of an issue, right? All right. Well, I put on the same shave shirt as I wore the other day in the most recent shave, so I'm blending in with the background again. I forgot about that. So, all the best to you guys with COVID. We are having a little bit of resurgence, kind of in the U.S. right now. We'll just see what happens. Trying to stay safe. And I'm not depending on masks to protect me. I'm using them, but I'm always keeping my distance and, you know, washing hands and doing all those things. It's really important to not assume that the mask is going to make you bulletproof, right? So there we go. Guys, keep yourselves safe. And I mean, I'm really interested to see what the world looks like on the other end. Some people are saying that it's not going to change too much because we'll always have it around. So that'll be interesting to see how things settle into some new reality, right? All right. Well, hey, I sure hope that this video has got some good stuff that's going to help you. You take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.